Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Michelle Cordero, Education Director here at ASIS Massage Education in Arizona. I am really excited. I always say it. I'm always excited to bring on our guests because we're having such wonderful people agreeing to join in our live stream and support our education mission to help our students and also the greater massage community as well. And today's guest is Cherie Sohnen-Moe, who is a legendary, and even if she was going to say in her own mind, I believe in the whole massage community, legendary author and educator in our field. And we're going to talk about what got her into education and the field of massage therapy, and particularly what got her to start to write the infamous massage textbook, The Business Mastery, which I know most massage therapists, if not only used it a little bit, have owned it or used it in their massage classrooms. And so without further ado, let's bring on Cherie. So hello, how are you?
Hi, everyone who's here.
Hi, thank you so much for joining us. I'm really happy that we're able to make this work. I know we started talking a few months ago. I actually have the picture behind me. The Massage Makes Me Happy little logo there. It was, I cut it out of the little poster that we had, and we started talking back then. And I'm really grateful that you were able to make this work and come on to into our show. So let's just get right into it because we have so much to talk about, and I want to make sure that we have enough time to get to the meat of everything. But I'm always curious, and we were talking right before we went live about sometimes people like hear the names that we've always heard in the industry, particularly your name's on a textbook, and most of us have used this textbook, and we think of you as this, really super famous person, but you started somewhere and you started in the field, and something brought you into the field. And I love the curiosity always gets me. I want to know, how did you get into the field, and what was the journey to get to this point? So first into massage therapy and then into education.
Well, I think I've always been into massage. I mean, even as a kid, I was the one who was always rubbing, my family's feet and their shoulders. And, so I was always doing that. And then when I was in college, 70s, UCLA, sort of like enough said, right? It was a very touchy-feely time back then. And so I was, doing all sorts of fun stuff. I remember the first thing I did is I took a Touch for Health course, way, way back then. And so that, things like that. And I was, my major was psychology. And in one of my classes that I took, it was abnormal psych. And we got to do our own projects. And so I did a project on birth trauma. And that got me introduced to Boyer, who was very famous for doing studies on birth trauma, and working with and interviewing people from Aboriginal tribes from all over the world. And one of the things he found in common was that they all massage their babies from like day one, and which is very different from our traditional culture here.
Right.
And so there was that. So that got me that kind of interest. And also because of birth trauma, that led me to study a little bit into primal scream therapy, which I never did, never wanted to do. But it just, it was a whole path that kind of led me to things. And, it took some little like some shiatsu workshops, just fun things, little things for myself. And, and again, like I said, those were the times when we were always massaging each other. I'd go up to the mountains and we'd, 8 people would massage a person, and, so it wasn't like we were professionals, but there was a lot of that kind of touch. And on the other hand, I was starting to actually learn some things about touch. But I was studying psychology, and I was going to go into industrial relations and doing all this stuff. And I did some consulting for these two people who wanted to start a health center. And this is before anything like this existed. You know, they wanted to put, alternative health practitioners together. And so I worked with them, created a business plan. I found them over $1 million of funding, and we're talking 70s.
Wow.
Yeah. But the interesting thing was the moment we found the funding was the moment they backed out.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Oh.
And I had just graduated from college, and when I thought I was going to be working with this company and doing all sorts of things, and my little heart was broken. You know,
I can imagine. You put all your blood, sweat, and tears into it.
Right.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing was, literally that week, 3 of my friends called me up and said, "Cherie, will you work on my body? I'll pay you."
Yeah.
I wasn't a massage therapist. I wasn't trained. And it was just like, one door closes, a big sliding glass window opens, right?
Right.
And so after a few years, I said, it looks like I'm going to be doing this. I probably should go back to school.
Yeah.
I believe in education. But then again, way back then, the schools in California, they were like 120 hours. That was it.
Right. Yeah.
But I still did. I went back to school. And so that was when I started into my whole massage practice. I took all sorts of continuing education workshops. And I sometimes wonder about that because we didn't get certificates. There wasn't something called CEs.
Yeah.
I mean, I might have been doing workshops with the greatest people on the planet. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't why I was taking that workshop. I was taking it not for the person, but for the knowledge of what they were teaching.
Right. Right.
So that's how I started on the massage end.
That's awesome. All right. So California background in working in massage. And I know we have this Arizona connection, especially with DHA, the Desert Institute of Healing Arts, that is no longer around, but is an institution that will remain forever in the Tucson, Arizona population. And despite the fact that we occupy the building, we know we will never be DHA in a lot of different ways. There's so much nostalgia and so much just the community built around the massage community in Tucson, I believe, built around that program. So I know you have taught there. So how did we get from California into teaching, into DHA, and into coming to Arizona?
Well, I'm actually a Tucson native. I was born here. Yeah, my family moved to California when I was 12.
Okay.
So all along, the other thing that I was doing when I was in college, when I was 19, I co-created my first communications workshop.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I was doing things. I was hired by the university to do some things. So I just was doing a lot of that and very involved in the personal growth movement. And then I was also doing, every year I would do goal setting workshops, usually right at the end or the beginning. They'd be these long day workshops. And so I was doing a lot of that. And then I was doing some coaching work, although we didn't call it coaching back then. I was consulting. And I did have a client who I worked with, and we did a lot of incredible work. And after having learned the hard way with that company of creating their business plan for them, I learned I will never, ever, and I have never since ever written somebody's business plan for them. I will help them, but if they don't write it, it's not their own.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. At least it's for me, as far as how I work best. So, I was doing that, and the person that I've been working with, he kept saying, "Oh, Cherie, you should really put this into a book." And I'm like, in my early 20s, I'm not a writer. And back then, we didn't have personal computers, so all my handouts and worksheets with him were done on typewriter. But I kept everything in this notebook. And so when I started, when we moved back to Arizona, I decided that I was going to focus on my coaching practice, my consulting practice. So, that was a thing. And my husband was an engineer. And so we were going to do this combined company. Well, within a day, being in Tucson, I had 3 massage clients.
They pull you back in.
Well, I really love massage, and I love what massage does for the world. And so I'm always talking about massage to this day, even though I'm not in practice anymore. So it was very easy for me to just be natural in talking, and people would get enthused with my enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And so it started that way, but I was still wanting to really do the coaching practice. And then Margaret had asked me to be a guest instructor for a class or two. And then when the school moved to the location where ACES now is at, she asked if I would actually come on and teach full classes there, teach business and ethics, communications, those kinds of things. And I said, sure. And but it was very frustrating for me because there were no textbooks.
Yeah.
And particularly no textbooks for business for therapists. And there's always been great business books out there. And there always will be great business books out there. Yeah. But not written in language that would appeal to massage students.
Right.
And particularly at the time, the really popular books were the guerrilla marketing books. And they talked about battles and strategies and wars and tactics.
Yeah, it's like no.
So here we had the battle strategic on this side, and then we had the Shakti Gawain creative visualization on this side. It's like, how do I blend this together?
Right.
So at the same time, one of my colleagues who had taken one of my goal setting workshops and was, had incredible transformation from that, she was starting a women's newspaper and asked if I would write for it. And I'm like, I'm not a writer. But I agreed to, and actually got quite a few comments. And it wasn't until many years later that I realized that's very, very rare. Most people don't write into magazines and comment about articles.
Right.
So I agreed to keep writing. So I was doing that. But here I am lamenting about how I'm having to spend so much time in the classroom getting people up to snuff instead of having them come in and understanding the basics, and then we could actually really delve in and really help flesh out what their concerns are and have them do activities. And so one day, I'm going into my office and I open up the door to the closet and this notebook falls on my head.
Oh my gosh.
Because it was way on the top shelf. It fell on my head. Kind of hurt. Yeah. I was like, all right, okay, time to do it.
Yeah.
And that's how I started.
Oh my goodness. A little conk on the head. It's like kind of your Newton moment with gravity kind of thing going on.
It's never pleasant.
It's like, all right, I get it.
Right, exactly.
But I understand a lot of your frustration, and you were talking about being an educator. On the flip side, when I was in massage school, I remember the only textbook we had was yours. Most of the other things were piecing together of what the instructors came up with, and the curriculum put together handouts and things like that. And I think we had one A&P kind of kinesiology sort of book too that was very, very limited. And I tell the students all the time now, because I went to school, back in the day. I said, back in my day, I have those stories for them all the time. It's like, you guys have textbooks nowadays with resources and all these things online. And so in our day, we just had to rely on a really great instructor being in the classroom to be able to produce this material, really. And so your trailblazing has really paved the way for a lot of massage therapists, I believe, because I still hear a lot, and I know from our own program, we could always do better, that the business education in massage therapy, entry-level massage therapy schools, it's on the smaller side of what we focus on because we're training people to do the hands-on work. But having your resource has been instrumental in helping people start to build their practices. And even if they don't want to open a business, being a good employee and knowing what they need to sell themselves and be marketable and all the other components. My business class was, using your book, make a business plan. I'm like, but I don't want to have a whole whole business plan, talking about how it's a, very personal. It's a huge undertaking, huge project, but there's so many ways to be in massage therapy these days. And I know your book really goes into it. So the book was born, and I know which edition are we on now? Are you on like fifth edition? I should have looked up which edition I had. I was 2002. I don't know if you know which one it was, but at that point, maybe 2. I don't know. How has it been to make those additions or those changes to it? What have you seen in the field that has caused the necessity for updating? And is it kind of just what businesses are out there, or how the field has changed, or what's some of the reasons?
Well, it was originally geared more toward the first few editions, more towards people being in practice on their own, because that was the main option.
Right. There's no employee places.
Right.
I mean, you didn't hire a massage therapist.
Yeah, there were some spas out there, but even so, or working for a chiropractor, but you weren't really an employee. It was your own business anyway, just underneath the umbrella of a chiropractic's office.
Right.
So that's really changed. So we have a lot more. I mean, we have a whole section now in the book just on employment, and how to seek out, employees, how to do your research, how to prepare for it, how to do a good interview, how to, what you should be putting in your resume. So there's a lot more information on that end. Also, starting even way back with the 4th edition. I mean, we were talking about websites before websites were even a thought in most people's eyes. But the great thing was to be able to, I remember maybe from going even from the 3rd to the 4th edition, where we had to educate people on what RAM was for a computer, and, it was like so much joy when I got to take out all those pages. I didn't need to talk about any of that anymore because it was so much more common knowledge.
Yeah.
So to me, actually being able to remove things is just as exciting as adding new stuff.
Yeah.
Because of the level of knowledge that is out there.
Yeah.
And social media, that's been a big change, but that was also in the 4th edition. What we did with the 5th edition is we kind of broke things up, because the marketing chapter was like 200 pages in the 4th edition. People would look at that and they go, oh, no.
Yeah.
So we have a 200-page marketing section, but there's multiple chapters that talk about each different aspect. And I think that makes it much more fun to read.
Yeah.
I think one of the best compliments that I got from somebody was they said that my book was like a bathroom book now. It's like you could go in and just read little pieces of it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely is very easy to read. And like you had mentioned about the business books that were out there when you first wrote your first edition, and just being all this technical jargon, and it's hard to reach people that way when you don't have any of that background information. You didn't go to get an undergrad degree in business, and that's not kind of the focus. So I can see that must have been probably a challenge in the beginning, or maybe not, maybe an opportunity to say, I know how massage therapy students are going to absorb this information, and I can write to that. It's kind of sounds.
And all along, I was very involved, again, because I was going to take my coaching and training practice off, and but still for 10 years I was doing massage. But I was very involved with the American Society for Training and Development. And, took a lot of things through them, and took a lot of training programs. Plus I did a lot of volunteer work, and I really learned a lot. And that was very transferable to the classroom, not just corporate training.
Yeah.
So I was always learning, and I've always been the kind, I'm always reading something or taking a workshop, or those are, I love to learn.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, it's interesting. And I sometimes miss being in a classroom. I taught at the Desert Institute for 10 years, and then I started being on the road a lot, because I was doing my workshops
Right.
and it just, I love Margaret. She really tried to make it work for me to still teach at the school, but it just, I was gone two weeks out of the month. And so I stopped teaching there. And then for about 5 years, I was on the road a lot. And then I came back and I thought, let's do something different. And so I started teaching at an acupuncture school. And I taught there for about 10 years. And so that was fun and that was challenging. I learned a lot as an educator from being in a different level of education. Although the longer I was in there, the more their standards changed and more people were coming in without a whole lot of other education. So, I mean, in the beginning, people were coming in that already had at least bachelor's degree, if not master's degree or other things. And, and then it started that they didn't necessarily need to have that.
Right.
And so the demographics really changed, and that really changed a lot of the experience of teaching there.
Yeah. Yeah. How interesting. I love how you challenged yourself to be in that different environment. And I think that goes to speak to how you want to keep learning, because that you have to learn how to speak to a different audience too, and what's relevant in that field. So yeah, I like you. I like the way you're thinking.
Well, and see, I also always, I've been receiving acupuncture since I was, when I was in California, since, after college. So,
Yeah.
Acupuncture and massage, they're two of the most, my lifesavers.
Yeah. It's like I graduated from a school that had acupuncture and massage therapy. So it's kind of funny. It's no longer around, but yeah, that's we had the two programs there. Yeah. So how it goes nicely hand in hand. So did you start or your, I guess I'm going to say, so we have Sohnen-Moe Associates, and I know your website is chock full of tons of information. I'm going to put the website in there. We're going to dive into that just a little bit, but from the book to creating like extra resources, how was that jump? Were you finding people like asking a lot of questions, like, what do you do about this? And do you have examples of that? And was that some of it?
That was a lot of it, or there's just stuff I just couldn't put in the book. Yeah, it's like I had too much stuff. It'd be 10,000 pages, So I started doing things, and I've always wanted to support practitioners, in all fields. My book's used in yoga programs and other programs, Reiki and all that. But particularly, the touch therapies, are very close to my heart, and so I wanted to make things available. So they could easily find them. Nowadays, there's a lot of resources out there with the internet. That people can find all sorts of things and a lot of free things. But we have always offered free things too. And people have always made comments, well, why aren't you charging for this? And it's like, I've never been in it for the money. And it comes back. I'm well taken care of. So it's, and I want people to have these resources. And I want to support people, and just like with I was talking with one of my colleagues earlier this morning, and kind of looking at some other things that we can do for schools, because there's a lot more small schools popping up, which is exciting. People who have a passion and a vision. Some of these bigger programs shut down, but it's like, so something's taking their place, and it's like, well, how can we foster them? It's like, what can we put on our website that's going to support them? So it's always kind of been how I've looked at that, is how can we do that? And we also have things for sale.
Yeah.
On the website, some tools and things that people can buy. We always keep everything, as reasonably priced as we can. I've had not drag out fights, but I've had heated discussions about my prices down on the book and not charging more, and because our profit margin's kind of slim, and it's just like I want the book to be affordable.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I'm going to assume too that your associates, because it is the Sohnen-Moe Associates, that you have other people who share that vision as well, and that are also contributing to the content and the overall vision as well. Can you speak to like who are those people and how they came to be and what they add to enhance the website?
The reason it was called Sohnen-Moe Associates in the very beginning was because it was going to be me and my husband.
Okay.
Right? He's not cut out for the self-employed life. So, and doing consulting. He has done consulting, but at least in the very beginning, so he went and got a job, he had the job for quite some time. And so he does some consulting work. He does things on, mainly for my clients, but, he will help people set up their websites, or, if they're having problems with their scheduling system, or, things like that. So he does that kind of consulting work. Deanna still works with me as I contract with her to do things for projects, and and I've brought people in. Now, granted, for many years, I think at one point the max I had was 5 employees. And home office, I had 5 employees. No more. It's kind of nice to not have employees in my house, and to just kind of subcontract out things. And I like that because it keeps people, it gives them autonomy also. And I no longer have a warehouse in my house.
That's helpful.
There's a pool table in there instead now. So over the years, but I've always had kind of a cadre of people who I bring in on projects, and and even things as when we're going to be doing a new edition of a book or things like that. I bring other people in because I can get tunnel vision. It's important to have other people. But the person who Deanna is a person who I really rely on. I rely on her because we are both committed to this field, and we both share a passion for teaching and a passion for high standards, and so that's been lovely. I mean, we've done things together probably, I think, at least for the past 5 years.
Oh, that's great. Oh, it's great to have like I don't want to call him a sidekick, but like kind of a right-hand person, and a person who shares your vision, and sometimes sidekick when you want to go on adventures and get into shenanigans together. That's always fun as well. You have to have a shenanigan partner, I believe, no matter what your guidelines are. And you mentioned
one of the, when you say shenanigans, I've done a lot of volunteer work with the Federation, and I've been dubbed the shenanigans coordinator.
Well, I love that. That's awesome. See, I had a feeling there was something in your eyes that I just knew that you had.
Down with the purple hair, one of them didn't give it away.
That's so funny. Going back to you mentioning your husband, that he wasn't cut out for self-employment. One of the resources that I've seen in your book, which is really, really great, and we talk about it in our programs, I know other places as well, is that is that little checklist questionnaire kind of thing. Are you cut out for self-employment, basically? Because not everyone is, right? And I find sometimes students or even practitioners feel like that's where it's your aim is always going to be, and that means you've made it or whatever it is. And I love that your approach to all your resources and the textbook as well talks about there's really no right or wrong. It's better to suit with what's perfect for you. And so that little like kind of checklist, could you see yourself making your own schedule? Can you like be on time for things? And it's like, nope, 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 nope. I'm going to work for somebody else.
Right. and that checklist originally was developed by the SBA, the Small Business Administration.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, I probably put my little tweaks on it, but I give them full credit for it because they're the ones that have created that kind of a resource. And and there's other questions that particularly going in as a massage therapist that you also need to consider that might not have been on that list. But no, I mean, there is absolutely nothing wrong with going and working for somebody. You get up, you show up, you do your work, you get paid, you go home.
Yeah.
I mean, that can be brilliant, especially because there is such a need for therapists out there. The massage franchises, they are turning away clients left and right because they can't fill the spots. Now that's a whole other discussion about why they can't fill those spots. But the bottom line is that means that we need more massage therapists out there. And I remember one time I went, and it was to a massage envy because especially if I'm traveling, I like to check things out when I go to places. And the woman who was there had worked there for like 7 years, and she loved it. It was part-time. She still had she was I don't know if she was a single parent or not, but she had a daughter who now was like 10 or 11, but she was always able to be home. Her child got home from school, and it worked out perfectly for her.
Right.
And I love to do the little math example with them. I have that chart in my book. Okay, so you say you want to earn X amount of money, and they're only going to pay you this much, and that doesn't sound like a whole lot. Well, when you take away rent and marketing and blah blah blah, it's like, oh, so you're ending up now making what, $12 an hour? Oh, you're going to make more. And there comes a time where that does flip. If you are working for yourself, after a while, that is one of the best ways to have a higher income. If you're good at all those other things.
Right.
But that's going to we're talking many, 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 many years. And by then you're probably ready to do something else anyway. So, so that's why, I really do support people, and looking at that, but they've got to choose their employment places wisely. Because not everyone, and even if you're working at a franchise, not every hand in stone is going to be like the next hand in stone there. They're individually owned. So you have to do your research. You have to know what you should expect and request it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, be empowered to know what you're worth and what your value is. Absolutely. Yeah.
But when you say that, that's the other thing. I have like several soapboxes, and thank you for touching on that one, because it's never about what you're worth, because you can never be paid what you're worth. What we do is priceless.
Yeah.
The changes we make in people's lives can be profound. How do you put a price tag on it?
Exactly.
And we've got to stop thinking in those ways and thinking about what is the service worth in the marketplace. And that's it. Take your ego out of it. Take all of that out. And it's like, because otherwise I see so many therapists that are resentful, and it's really sad because it's nothing personal.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
It's not that I don't value your worth, but I'm going to go down here and it's only going to cost me a third. There's got to be something really, really great over here.
Yeah.
For people to consider that.
Yeah. Lots of pieces. Yeah. It's not as simple as one type of formula, for sure. So many factors involved, and so many things I like the taking the ego out of many things in life, I think would solve a lot of problems for sure. But
I can tell you, I don't think I could be an employee.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm too old to do any of that, but it's not my personality. But like I said, other people, their personality is, the other way. My example, I'm in Tucson a day and I have 3 clients.
Right.
And what I didn't say is when I got to Tucson, they had one of their 100-year floods that next day.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, and I was staying with my sister,
Mm-hmm.
my husband and I were staying with my sister, and we really couldn't even get out. We had to like go all the way around town and back down to get out. She lived on the east side of town. So, and yet I had clients, you know, but that's because that's something really natural to me.
Mm-hmm.
And are there skills that you can learn to do that better? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But if you hate it, you know, that's one of the questions that a lot of people ask me, you know, actually almost all the time, particularly when I'm doing workshops. Well, what's the best thing I can do to promote my practice?
Mm-hmm.
And I usually say the thing you're willing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because there might be some really brilliant things, but if you're not willing to do it,
right.
What do you make?
Yeah. Yeah. I think of it like also, it reminded me of exercise. What's the best exercise to do? The one that you're going to be willing to do. It doesn't make sense. If you're not a runner, don't buy the running shoes to do that. So that's for sure.
Exactly.
So your website does have a lot of resources, and I want to make sure that we explore a little bit. So a bunch of different places, but we're going to pick a couple of them to just kind of mention of some of the things that are available. So you do have a different section for students that's geared a little bit more towards students, and that's this resource here. So I'm looking off to my other screen here in case you're wondering what I'm here for. So just some of the things that we have, some workbooks available to students. Also, of course, like the links to the actual textbooks. We forgot to mention too, it's not just the business mastery. You have the ethics of touch, which is also a phenomenal source for people as well to talk about ethics in massage therapy, which we could go on. It's probably a whole nother conversation we can build up on about ethics and ethical dilemmas. Maybe we'll stay tuned for that program.
That'll be good.
And
sometime
coming this fall near you, on a YouTube channel near you. So we have this student success guide, which has that self-analysis that we were kind of talking about, and marketing out, all the kinds of things to think about when they're deciding what to kind of do, where their goals are as well. After graduation checklist in that guide as well. And then I love a lot of it, but the free guides, posters, and checklists that are available as well to students. And that includes business checklists and guides, things about insurance billing, self-care, essential oils, social media guides, and the posters for massage and reflexology, and even a guideline about sexual assault prevention. So, I mean, this is like so many options for students to be able to pull. And of course, it's not just limited to being a student, but it's more geared towards the student population. So lots and lots of great information in there as well. Yeah. And so on the other side, we have, of course, the practitioners thing. So there's so many sources. We have just the drop-down menu for those who are following along here. Build your practice, different articles, the free resources, marketing mastery, and the resource directory. So not that we're going to just read a website together, but some of the free resources. We have that sexual assault prevention, building your practice, essential oil guide, Google. That's such, I need to take like a 40-hour class to really understand how does Google work. So this is a great little like starting off point to really explain it to people trying to get that perfect website SEO optimization kind of stuff going on.
You know, and some of those things, like some of the resources, they're not stuff that we didn't develop all of them. Like some of those guides, I had been doing some work with a company called Massamio who was doing some brilliant things, and they shut down, and they made the resources available through our website.
Yeah, that was. I remember working with them. They had wonderful, wonderful information. I loved it. Yeah.
So even though some of it's old, we didn't want to take it down because there's some really, really key things in some of them. Yeah, the Google thing was written over 10 years ago. A lot of it still stands for today. So that's why, you know, I said we're not just the things that we develop, but we've kind of been a storehouse for other people. And like when Natural Touch Marketing went out of business, I mean, they've been personal friends of mine for a really long time. And I was so sad to see them go because they had beautiful marketing materials.
I use their gift certificates all the time. I used to use them all the time. They're beautiful. I never seen anyone's like that.
Right. And then when like about 4 years ago, when we switched, our company switched to this new database, the reason we chose this company is because they had a thing called Customer Hub, where you could put all your digital products right there, and then your customers would have their own portal, so they wouldn't be emailing you, how can I find this, or all of that. And so talked with Heather, and we made it so that we weren't going to ever print that stuff, but we would sell the templates so they could print their own. So don't sell a whole lot of it, but at least we've kept it alive.
Yeah. That's wonderful. Yeah, sometimes it is a little overwhelming when we're like, oh, you have this program, you can make things and this and this. It's like, for some people, like I was just talking to a student recently. She's like, yeah, I could work on my own website, but I rather pay someone to kind of do it for me so I can take care of the other stuff. And that's okay. You don't have to be a graphic designer. Even some of the programs that are really simple to use, it takes the time from other people. So to have a resource to at least see the templates and use them as a starting off point, really beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
We also, the other site that we wanted to talk about a little bit too, the other part of your site is the blog. So can you speak to a little bit of what we could expect to see there and why we'd visit? And also I noticed a little subscribe button. Don't forget to plug that.
Well, yeah. I mean, we I don't know how often we blog, and Deanna pretty much that's one of her projects she oversees. She will sometimes go, Cherie, I need you to do a blog, and so I will do one too. But or we'll come up with things and tips, and sometimes we do video blogs, and sometimes it's information, or we'll have somebody out there that we've read something that really inspired us, and so we'll ask them to write a blog for us. So it's nice tidbits of information, and some of it really timely. Like when COVID was first hitting, we had some stuff right in the beginning, right away, about what to do and precautions, and we even put a COVID resource link on our website. I'm looking forward to when that gets to come down. We haven't added anything to it, but and we started again, not that we were publishing our own stuff, but pulling things. Oh, here's stuff that the ABMP suggests. Here's some things that the AFA has put out. It's like so that people could come to one place, and that's I kind of see it's like a funnel. That either for free resources or links to resources or things to purchase. If it's about building your practice and being successful and helping improve communications or any of those issues, they know they can come to our site and either find exactly what they need or a link to what's going to get them there.
Yeah. That's great. Maybe I'll send you the link to this on the YouTube. You can put it in a blog post, or I'll send it to Deanna. This would be great. Catch out the latest interview. Yeah, that's awesome. And there is a subscribe button on the blog site too, so you can find out when the latest and greatest is getting posted. Let's see, I sometimes go down a rabbit hole because there are so many great resources on your website. I go back to it all the time. I'm on like all the mailing lists that there is. There's like the student marketing activities one, which we could probably talk about that for a million years, but it's so wonderful. It breaks down different goals for the month and the weeks and things to the practitioner, the marketing one. I'm sorry, I don't know why I said student. And I love to just read the different ideas of how to promote yourself and get an idea to write articles and connect to this group. And it gives you kind of a checklist, because at the beginning, I know this happened for me. When you first get licensed, you're like, I'm gonna just go out to everything and say yes to everything and talk to this person, talk to all these people. And then you only have so many hours in a day, and are you really focusing it correctly and to the most efficient way that you can? And this is such a nice, you don't have to follow it to a T, but pick some things that work and you think would connect and have it in a really nice format. So I think that email, the email that goes out, it's brilliant. It's beautiful.
Yeah, that's a free subscription service. And we figure that, we put out what would be ideal, and if people do like a sixth of it, they're going to be doing good. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and again, not that you have to do everything, but kind of to remind you, and it's like, oh, this is your goal, and that's why we will have things like, uh, prepare for next month's talk, and so it's things to just to hopefully inspire you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's great. I'm a bit of a planner myself, and I have I have to have one in my hand. I have it's a passion planner is what I use. I'm not much of a vision boarder where I cut out magazine pieces and paste. I need to write out things and line draw and all that kind of stuff. So I like to do that kind of look ahead. What do I need to do for next month? What are the goals for that kind of thing? And I think if you're not organized as much with that, it's overwhelming. So that's great that you do that. Like prepare for next month's adventure that you're going to do, or, talk to this person. And so there's just so many things like that. The teacher resource email is wonderful. Share, like you were saying, sharing other resources. I see book recommendations, software recommendations, things to use in the classroom, lots and lots of great information there as well. So from the bottom of my heart, I thank you and the associates so much. Deanna, hello, Deanna, if you're watching, or we're going to make her watch later. Thanks for all that you do as well. So yeah, it's really, really great information that's only gotten, like fine wine, gotten better with age. It's really, really wonderful. So what's on the horizon? Any new adventures for Sohnen-Moe Associates, or anything we're going to explore or can look forward to down the road?
I know you were going to ask me that question, and I don't know. At some point, we're going to have to start working on a new edition of Business Mastery, but not probably for a couple more years. We just finished the new edition of the ethics book, and that just it's like, okay, let's take a breather for a couple of years. I'm not sure. Again, it's sort of like things are changing in this profession, and I'm not really sure. So feedback, any kind of feedback, we would love to hear that, because one of the frustrating things for us is that we know that, and I've known this forever, that when it comes to the business part of practice, people just like and they don't want to spend time, they don't want to spend money, and so it's like, do we want to spend time and money developing products? Yeah, if they're not going to be used,
right? Yeah. And yes, spend all your time and then it not come to be as helpful and used. Yeah.
So we don't know. I mean, I would love to. So I guess on the horizon would be to do some other kind of something for the therapists themselves, but I have no idea what that is yet. So I just put it out, so it's going to come back. And it won't
now be prepared. On your head. Something a little softer to hit though this time. Not a notebook. Let's hope for that. Maybe a little marshmallow or something.
Yeah. And again, I've been in this field for a really long time, so I'm not sure. That's why I got, I've been really involved with the Alliance for Massage Therapy Education, and I'm finished volunteering with them for 10 years, on the board for I think 9 years. And now that's why this last year I got involved with my friend Linda on the Massage Makes Me Happy campaign. And, I see doing more stuff with this for this next year.
Yeah.
Because that's really fun. It's like, talking about why massage makes you happy and healthy.
It was so fun. We are already like, when does it come up next year? So probably March again, right? Because the International Day of Happiness is always in March.
March 20th every year.
Yeah.
So we never know what
we are ready. We're going to sign up right away as a school and promote it. And hopefully at that time too, we can have more events and things like that. Because that was one of our limitations, is in the middle of COVID. It's hard to really go out and promote and get out there in the field. So count us in for that for sure.
So I see doing more of that kind of stuff. So I'm not sure.
Okay.
And I'm okay with not knowing.
Yeah. Just be open to it and say yes to things that bonk you in the head, I guess. So, Cherie, I put up the website one more time. So if people do have
Okay.
questions or comments or suggestions, even of things that can support them in their
Okay.
massage schooling or in their practice, they can definitely reach out on the website. There's a contact form, of course,
Yeah.
and they'll be happy to hear any of that kind of feedback. So
Yeah, absolutely.
I thank you for that. And my favorite part of the conversation always is to put you in the hot seat for our hot seat questions.
Okay.
And find out a little bit more about you.
Okay.
So our first question is, which talent or superpower would you most like to have?
I'd love to be able to teletransport.
Yes, that was mine. That was my pick too.
Really?
Yeah, everyone says flying because they want to get other places, but I don't want the whole journey part. Just get me there.
Exactly.
Time is money, people.
Not only that, who wants to? Yeah, I just like, oh, I want to go visit my friend in Idaho. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Boom. Show up.
Let's go for French tonight.
Yeah, exactly. I am with you. We are connected here. If you weren't in the massage field, what occupation do you think you most likely would have?
Rock star.
Would you say rock star?
I did.
You already got the cool hair for it. You're halfway there. Do you play an instrument?
No, but I sing.
Oh, okay. So there you go. You're the lead anyway, so you'd be up front. We just got to. I have a washboard and some spoons in my office that we play around with sometimes. So we are ready for a jug band at least. So we'll help you with that.
Yeah.
If money and circumstances they weren't issues for you, where would you most like to live in the world?
Well, I'm kind of torn between two places because my two favorite places, and they're like diametrically opposed on the globe, is Santa Barbara, California, and Perth, Australia.
Ah, nice. But both near water, right? I'm
guessing. The water.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Love the water. And somehow living in the desert. I get this question all the time. Yeah. But that's why, we can love the ocean that much because we miss it that much when we're stuck in the desert. So oh, lovely. Wonderful. What is your most treasured possession?
See, that's a hard question.
I know it's the hardest one for everyone.
Well, I mean, I don't really treasure possessions.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's some things that have sentimental value to me, but I mean, I could walk out the door and not see any of my stuff, and I'd be okay.
Yeah.
So that's really hard. Yeah. So I maybe some photo albums.
Yeah. Back when we used to do photo albums, right?
Oh, I know. So I still have some of those because I haven't transferred them to the digital yet. But
yeah. I know. I here on campuses we try to print out pictures of students in action and their little pictures so we get to know each other. And because it's lost, nobody prints anything anymore in pictures, and it's so nice to actually see photos out. So it's one thing we keep up to tradition here with that.
Yeah.
But I'm like you too. If I didn't come back, I'd be okay too. More about our memories. And then lastly, but not leastly, because is what would you tell your 18-year-old self?
Don't doubt yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love that. There's a lot of confusion in our brains at that age, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I may in general be fairly self-confident now, but I wasn't that way. I mean, I had streaks of boldness. I've always had streaks of boldness, but there was also a pretty strong depth of fear in terms of, can I really do this? Should I really do this? Kind of.
Yeah.
But therapy, personal growth, life.
Yeah. Do you think that, I know that's not the question, but I wonder your opinion. Do you think that is something that an 18-year-old is capable of, knowing that we need to kind of grow and live life experiences to get to that point? Because I don't know if I could believe that in my 18-year-old self.
Well, that's a good question. my 18-year-old could have, but again, I was steeped in the personal growth movement already at that time.
Yeah.
Already taking, the EST workshop and all that kind of stuff way back when. So I was already really looking at personal growth and what that means.
Yeah.
But yeah, probably otherwise, nah.
Yeah.
It
took me going to massage school. Once I started massage school, then that personal growth stuff happened. So my early 20s.
How can it not?
I know.
I mean, you're touching bodies, you're being touched.
That alone,
a lot, not just,
which is part of the great experience. You get massages all the time.
Whether or not you want them, or whether you want them by a certain person, and that's an incredible learning experience. And I think sometimes that's one of the most incredible learning experiences is to, get a massage by maybe not your favorite student and your, student colleague. It's like, I don't really like that person. And then being able to be present for their touch and see how that's different.
Yeah. A lot of learning, a lot of growth.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I want to thank you so much, Cherie, for taking this time today and giving us so many great life lessons and sharing so much of yourself and your associates and everyone for all the great things that you've brought to the community in the massage field. We love the Business Mastery book. If you don't own a copy already, make sure you go and get one because Cherie is donating everything else. She needs the money for books. Give her something. She needs her rock star status. So she's got to keep up with her hair dye. I tease. No, I really thank you so much. From the bottom of my heart, you've been one of my personal idols without elevating you too much, to rock stars in my eyes for so many years. And I thank you for everything that you've done for the massage field. So,
thank you.
All right. So everyone else,
this was fun. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I had a lot of fun with you too. And I'll send you the link, and everyone else who's watching later on, make sure you keep in mind that we are live every single Friday, 1:00 Arizona time, and we'll have lots of great guests coming down the line. Can't wait to see everybody on a future broadcast. So thanks, Cherie. Have a great weekend, and we'll see everybody soon.